Hey y'all, welcome to Cop Work. Today, asking the question if is being a police detective right for you? Well, I'm going to talk about some casework today, and the first one is when I was first made a detective, I got this case handed to me. Some people had moved to the city that I was working in, and they had a 3-story home. They placed all of their things in a storage unit, and the people they had hired to move their things there had gone back and stolen all their things. And the woman was really smart because she had refused to pay them in cash. She wrote a check, and from that check, and this is a long time ago, I chased down bank accounts and finally figured out who the people were that I was chasing. The man was a career criminal. He was literally born in prison. When I got after him, his father had just died in prison, and his brother was in Angola. He was the type of person that, when I got to calling around about him, he had stolen a cab of an 18-wheeler and was driving down the road, and his nephew pulled up beside him in a convertible. Well, he jumped out of the moving 18-wheeler cab and landed over in that convertible, and they drove off. And of course, the cops had to stop because they had to work the wreck. He had also got into a shootout with the police and held his wife and his child in front of him and shot between their heads. So this is the kind of people that I was chasing. Anyway, from the check, I tracked down who they were, and the wife had multiple identification cards out of Texas, multiple Social Security numbers, Social Security cards, and so did her sister. Those two women had been working through some southern states and had been running a theft ring involving Walmart and layaway. One would get a job and working in the Walmart department, in the layaway department, and one would go in the next morning and buy up a bunch of stuff, put it on layaway, and later that afternoon come back, and the one working there would mark it paid. And they had gotten Walmart for thousands upon thousands of dollars. They were wanted in 4 states when I got after them. And anyway, from the check, we finally had an address for the sister-in-law, and we thought it was for the people that we were looking for. But we drove over one night and picked up their trash when they put it on the curb. And from there, we got an address for the people that I was after. What I thought to be a good address, but it wasn't. It was an apartment. And I went over, talked to the apartment people, and there was a courtesy officer, police officer there, and he said, "I know them. They're bad." And I said, "Yeah, this is why I'm after them." And told him, and he said, "I know where they live." They had moved to a house. And so we went over and started running surveillance on the house. And in the people's property that they had stolen was a Christmas yard ornament that was homemade. And we saw it in the garage. And I got a warrant for their arrest, a search warrant and arrest warrant for them, based on the fact that that yard ornament was homemade and could easily be identified by the victims in this case. And so we ran surveillance with them for a few days, and we finally hit him. He was wanted in multiple states, she was wanted in multiple states, and so was the sister-in-law. I also put the sister-in-law in jail for Social Security fraud because she had purchased a car with a fake Social Security number. He was driving a Corvette, and when we got in the garage, hanging in like an A-frame deal, was an engine of Corvette. And what he had done is he had gone to a Corvette dealership and seen a person driving a newer model than he had. Watched them, now this was a long time ago, put keys on a desk in a service department and walk out. He walked in right behind and picked those keys up and drove off in that new Corvette. Well, he cut that thing up. It was in boxes and pieces in that garage. What he was going to do was drop the engine of the new Corvette in his Corvette. There was also multiple pounds of marijuana and thousands of pills. The wife had gone to work for a hospital, and she had been stealing prescription pills, thousands of them. Anyway, by the time all that was over, they went to jail for us, and then they went to jail for the feds. And it all came about because they left a paper trail. And I had to think outside the box a little bit, particularly with the yard ornament and getting the warrant. But I was successful, and it took me a long time. When I chased them for about 3 months before I finally figured out who they were and where they were. And that involved, now back in the day, calling cities for utility billing, looking to see if they had water in their name, that kind of thing. It involved calling multiple agencies to find out what this guy was really like. And when we hit that house, the local police in that town were kind enough to use their SWAT team because this guy was really bad. And when we got in there, they were using all the people's property that they had stolen as if it were their own. It was the wildest thing ever. I could not believe that they were doing that. They had popped names off of kids' trophies and scratched their kids' names on their trophies, like the kids had won some trophies. They were real different, needless to say. And when they started to go to trial, back then in Texas, for a little while you had to have what was a tax stamp on dope. The state was trying to make money off of criminals. Well, eventually that got repealed. But he didn't have a tax stamp on his dope, on the weed, or on the pills. And I busted him again for that, for not having a tax stamp. And he owed the comptroller's office in the state of Texas an unbelievable amount of money over that. I doubt that he ever paid it. But it took a long time and it took a lot of legwork. But it was really fun. If you like to chase people, being a detective can be very interesting. I picked that case up really from nothing, just one single check. And it took a while, but it worked out because I got the people's things back, and career criminal went back to jail, his wife went to jail, her sister went to jail, and I wound up getting some really undesirable people off the street for a while. So, you know, if that's interesting to you, you should look into police work and maybe being a detective someday. Now it's all changed now. You still chase people, but everything's at your fingertips with the advent of the internet and all social media and all that. It's a lot different than it was back then. But it worked out for me. That case did. And so, anyway, I enjoyed that. And like I said, if that interests you, maybe you should, look into being a detective someday. And I always try to end these videos with an appeal for hurricane relief effort. If anybody sees this, if you can, please donate to the hurricane relief effort. Those people are in a world of hurt. They need everything, still. And one of my favorite cop shows ever on is Hill Street Blues. And so, to paraphrase, when that sergeant would break from briefing, he would say, "Let's be careful out there." And so I would say to y'all be careful out there.